What's up, YouTube? How's it going, everyone? We actually had a pretty big patch just pushed to the main client. This has been available on the beta for a little while. In fact, for the last like 9 days, the devs have been adding like small things until eventually it's all added up to kind of like a decently large set of patch notes here. And then it was pushed to the main client. So each day we've got to kind of work with each one of these bug fixes, see what the changes meant. And I'm gonna, now that's available on the main client, I get to see what they kept. I'm gonna go ahead and quickly cover each bug fix note. And yeah, there's actually some really interesting stuff in here, stuff that's not even necessarily mentioned in these patch notes. There's some hidden changes in this that some of them are pretty big deal. But first, before I go into the patch notes, I wanted to show this message that was posted by Petri. He posted this on the main Noita Discord, and the message, I guess I'll read it out. It says, "Hi, these are all the bug fixes for now. I'll try to do another set of bug fixes before the summer. For your information, I'll try to fix the stain stuff and the carrying extra things in the inventory bugs. There's some bugs where you can carry like, 20 wands. You can put like 100 spells on a single wand, even though it only has like 5 capacity. Things like that, I think, is what he's referring to. There will be a bunch of smaller bug fixes, but those will be the two major things. You've all been wonderful and very helpful at finding and reporting bugs." So I want to put that information out there because I know one of the big things that people tend to ask anytime I talk about patches and patch notes and stuff is people start saying, well, what have the devs said? Is this the last patch? Is there more? So there you go. I mean, you know what I know. This is the latest information. It was just what he posted in the main Noita Discord. So let's get back to these bug fix notes here. We do have Noita loaded up in the background with cheat GUI. That way I can kind of as I read through these notes, I can kind of show you some of the changes in game, at least the main ones. So first off, I'm gonna start at the bottom because the way this the beta was getting the patch notes, it actually started here, like at the very bottom, and it slowly got added to, and it climbed up to where this was like the patch that was just put in a couple days ago. So I guess I'll start in general, I guess, as well. Update, no wand tinkering is now more rewarding and healthy. So this one, what it means is the no wand tinkering is arguably one of the worst perks in the game. And the only advantage to grabbing it is whenever you kill enemies, there was like a 5 or 6% chance that when you killed the enemy, it would drop like this kind of gold that's referred to as blood money, meaning you grab it and it heals you very slightly. It's garbage, was never worth it. Well, now with this buff form, they moved it up to 20%. So now 20% of the time you get blood money. Still garbage. I hope that the devs continue to kind of tweak that. But who knows? I don't know what their end goal is for no wand tinkering. It's probably one of the least grabbed perks in the games. In the game, I mean, like nobody really willingly. It's usually like a challenge thing, fun stuff. But anyways, not really a big deal. Just a very minor change. Nothing too exciting there. And also the other one says update after killing a certain leggy creature, the creature appears in the polymorph pool. So that's referring to the leggy chest. There's a chest that sprouts these little legs, and when you kill it, it drops another terrible perk. But the reason that one's kind of interesting is some people they want to get the 100% progress, right? They want to go to their progress menu and have every perk there is, and the leggy mutation, which is dropped from that chest, is one of the perks on there. So usually that's why people grab it, not because it's anything good or anything helpful, more just for the completion of having it on your bar there. But now apparently it's part of the polymorph pool, so you can polymorph it or chaotic poly into it. Honestly, I thought you already could. It's another pretty minor change. I mean, it's some of these things seem like minor changes, but you never know. People will come up with crazy Noita science in something that seems like, that's nothing. Next thing you know, you're like, that's so broken. So for now, they seem like nothing. We'll see if anybody comes up with any crazy stuff with these two small updates. And then right here, we have the bug fix. A friend is a bit more friendly now. So on the main client, the only patch that the main client has gotten is that it fixed the friendly boss. And it was the only boss in the game that was pretty much not really a boss. It was in the boss category, but it didn't function like a boss. You could kill it with just about anything. He just fell over and died. Well, they fixed that in the last patch, but there were still some things that needed to be worked on that the friendly boss wasn't quite right. And I think there even still is a couple more tweaks that needs to be done to it to make it function correctly. Not in terms of like buffing or nerfing. It's more in terms of it can be a little bit buggy with some stuff. So nothing to go into too much detail there. Spells to power crash has been fixed. It's pretty self-explanatory. There was a crash that would happen whenever using that spell. Infinite flying with saving / loading has been fixed. Basically, whenever you levitated in the air, whenever your levitation is running low, you could just hit restart with enabled mods active, and it would just restore your levitation. Pretty cheesy stuff, but definitely very powerful, since some things were limiting, like the tree, for example. You're not supposed to be able to fly to the top of the tree really early, but then you could just use that trick and you could do it right away, which is pretty dang strong. The invisible wand ghosts have been ghost busted. Whoa, sorry, something scared me out there. Invisible wand ghosts have been ghost busted and adjusted. This one is a pretty big deal. This is like, basically, this is one of the first things that not only was it a removal of, or a bug fix to like an exploit, or just a really good mechanic, but it also, the devs added in something of their own as a response, and it's not talked about here in this bug fix. So let me go ahead and show you. First off, if you don't know how this worked, I do have a video on it called The Greatest Flask in Noita, which basically discussed how you could use this, you could abuse this this trick to farm infinite gold. In fact, I'll kind of give you a look at it here. The idea is simple. Let me go ahead and, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to pour some pheromone onto the ground. And the way it works is, if you throw a wand into pheromone, like so, it takes a couple tries. Sometimes you have to get it to land perfectly on that flat ground just right. Let's see if we can do it. And we are failing at it right now. Come on. You can do it. There it goes. So we threw a wand into the pheromone, and it looks like the wand has come to life. It's a pheromone wand. It's supposed to be like it's sentient or whatever. But really what it is an invisible creature spawned, and it's holding that wand. And it's going around, and it's gonna like help you kill stuff. But I wouldn't recommend doing this. Usually they cause more trouble than they help. This is an old mechanic. But what people discovered that could be abused was you could take all the spells off of a wand and then put it into a pheromone. The devs had put like a safety check for enemies to not pick up empty wands that had nothing on them, because they're just useless. Well, this also applied to this invisible ghost. So you could throw your wand into the pheromone, it would spawn an invisible ghost that would just do nothing, and then you could kill the invisible ghost and get gold from it. They would just keep spawning more and more of them, which is what this video that I was showing you, that's what this video covers. But it's pointless to watch it now because this mechanic doesn't exist anymore. So I went ahead and I put in brackets patched out. I had asked my community, I said, should I just remove the video? That way we don't mislead anybody. The people like to see the old mechanics. They said they wanted to, you know, have the video just to be able to look back to it if people discuss the, I guess, the old days of Noita. So I made sure to put patched out there. And going forward, whenever you click any of my videos, make sure you go to the title and see if it says anything like patched out or nerfed, anything like that, because this has never been a thing before in the community. I never had to clarify this because the devs haven't done a patch in 2 years, so none of my other videos I never needed to say like this has been changed, or, you know, so this is a new thing, which is a good thing. It's an exciting thing, but I just want to make you guys aware. So look at the title. If you ever see in brackets patched out, it means that this mechanic that in the video is not, it doesn't work anymore. Now there is another thing that it may say nerfed, which means that it is still in the game, but it's not as good, or it's changed in some way. But we'll get to that in a moment. So the ghost one. So they made it where you can't farm the infinite ghosts for gold. However, in return, what they gave us, and as you can see, the ghost will even time out. That wand that was flying around, the ghost just expires. That's a thing too. So this empty wand, you throw it into the pheromone and watch what happens. It just instantly gets converted over to gold. This is a new wand selling mechanic that was used as kind of like a counter to the system that we had before. Where instead of farming infinite gold, now you sell wands for gold. And the higher tier a wand is, the more gold it is worth. So you have to strip all the spells off of it, and it cannot be an always cast. So you see how this wand has an always cast glimmer, the red glimmer on there? Meaning if I take all this stuff off of it and I throw it in there, it still thinks a spell is on it. So it will not trade it. It will not give me gold for it. It will again get picked up by a ghost and fly around. However, this wand here, I did strip everything off of it. And when I throw it into the pheromone, you will see that it just converts right over to gold. Now, these wands are cheated in wands, so they're not properly tiered, but usually the beefier the wand, like the better the stats and all that, the higher tier it is. If you don't know, basically certain levels offer certain tiered wands, and if you really, without going to too much detail, too much of a rant, think of it like this. There are many games where whenever you create a character, they give you like 10 attribute points, and you get to put it into whatever like stat you want. You could be like, oh, I want to go into health, I want to go into dexterity, whatever. Well, tiers basically decide on how many of these hidden points it has to put into different stats like recharge, cast delay, monomax, and the more attributes it puts into that specific stat, the better it becomes. So tier 1 wands don't have many of those extra points, so that's why the wands aren't as good. Meanwhile, you have tier 6 wands, which are like in the final levels of the game, like the temple and stuff, and those have the best, they have a ton of attribute points to put into, cast delay, recharge. That's why you find like, or high capacity. The highest tier wand though, there is a jump. There's the tier 6 wand, which is those spawn in the temple. However, Tiny does drop one tier 10 wand, and for every tier that like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, every tier gives a bonus 200 gold. So tier 1 gives 10 gold, tier 2 gives 400 gold. Did I say 200? Hopefully I said that correctly. Tier 1 gives 200 gold, tier 2 gives 400 gold, all the way down to tier 10 giving you 2,000 gold, because it would be 10 times 200, so 2,000 gold. Sorry, I'm a little bit distracted. I just got done streaming, so if I just said some silly math there, hopefully you get the point. I'm a little bit brain dead. Hey, I guess got a follow. Even when I'm not streaming, getting hit with the follow. Hell yeah. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate that. Okay, so sorry, I don't want to rant too hard on that one, but the reason I wanted to point that out is because yes, the bug fix acts like something has been removed, right? It's been fixed, but a new mechanic has been given to us because of it. And I don't plan to make a video on the wand selling mechanic too deeply yet. I want to kind of get a feel for it in the game so that I can try to give you guys tips on how to utilize it in the best way possible. But point is, if you have pheromone, you have a wand, just take the spells off of it, throw it into the pheromone, you can get gold. Pretty cool mechanic. I don't think it's necessarily OP or anything like that. It definitely isn't as powerful as it was, because it used to be infinite gold, but I think it's a more fun mechanic. Selling wands sounds more like a functioning game mechanic that can be balanced around, as opposed to infinite gold, which was just like, hey, you just sit there for as long as you like collecting gold, which is silly. Comatose, I'm probably saying that kind of weird. I don't know. I gotta brush up on my Finnish. This says it could spawn without a wand, so that's like a player ghost. The player ghost could spawn without a wand. Apparently, this was a thing. I don't really mess with player ghosts and stuff. I remove those wands so that player ghosts can't spawn, because I find them to be kind of anti-fun. I don't like loading into a brand new run and a ghost walks up to me and I just tablet them in the head, and then I just get a god wand 5 minutes into a brand new wand. Part of my enjoyment for playing Noita is struggling to get the good wands, the journey to build them and stuff. It feels like you just went into cheat GUI and then gave yourself a god wand. Kind of ruins the excitement. But yeah, apparently they could spawn without a wand. It was fixed. Whatever. Steam Cloud was counted as a secret in the progress menu. This is something I was unaware of. Not a big deal. I don't think this affected too many. I mean, it probably affected people, but nobody was like, too upset about it, I don't think. Destruction doesn't destroy a certain thing that could be destroyed. That pretty much you could use the destruction spell to accidentally destroy the salt. I was unaware that was even a thing, but whatever. The salt is the glowing thing that sits in front of Colmy. You pick it up, the fight begins. Chest contents are a bit more random now. Now this one is a big deal. This is something that if you go back and this has been broken in the game for years, but I wasn't even aware it was broken until like a month or two ago. It was brought up by Latali, and he did a little bit of number crunching and realized what was going on. And so it's amazing that he brought this up to the devs and they fixed it, because this makes it where, I guess here, let me show you, and then you can kind of piece together just how significant that is. So treasure chests are these right here, right? That's a treasure chest. And they have a loot pool, you know, different categories, and, you know, there's a 33% chance it'll drop gold in varying amounts, you know, 10% chance for potions, different categories, right? Well, what was happening was, like 95 to 98% of the chests in the game were only able to have loot that was in one of these categories here that I'm highlighting. I think it went to here. Yes, one of these categories here. I mean, it couldn't drop a bomb, which you maybe have seen a bomb before. So I'm saying there are some chests that could have these, but they were not common. And then you could not get, like, from the health pickups category, could not do the rerolls and all this stuff. So now, what was discovered was any of these chests that spawn in what we call heart formations. A heart formation is a formation that could have a heart, it could have a chest, or it could have nothing. If you listen to my rants before, or you play a lot yourself, you've probably recognized these, where you're like, oh, you start to see a formation, you're like, oh, I know there's usually a heart or a chest, you know, around here. Sometimes you get nothing, but at least there was a chance for it. Well, if in those formations, if a chest spawned, which is usually where you see chests, they were broken. They only pulled from this small loot pool. But then if you did like a pacifist, if you got a pacifist chest, which is where you didn't kill anything in the level, and you went to the next holy mountain, it rewards you with a pacifist chest. That chest was correctly spawned in and did grab from the entire loot pool. So there were cases where you could see some of these things that normally you wouldn't, but like I said, 95 to 98% of the time, if you were coming across a treasure chest, it was probably broken and didn't allow for you to get a lot of cool stuff. So this is a big deal, because part of the health pickups category had this entity, right, this enemy right here. When you click it, that is the heart mimic, which is one of the rarest enemies in the game. A lot of people are like, I didn't even know it exists, because, you know, I've played like 100 hours or 200 hours. I never saw this. And some people are like, yeah, I played 1,000 hours and I've never saw this. Well, that was because it's supposed to be a rare enemy, right? It's supposed to be this. Oh, where was I? Oh, go back. It's supposed to be this 1% chance of 11% in 11% category, so 1% of 11%. So it means if you open a chest, there was a 0.11% chance you were going to get one from it. Well, then it got even more rare, because most chests couldn't even hit this category at all. It was bugged out. So it was a 0.11% chance of a very tiny fraction of a small group of properly spawned in chests. So it became an insanely rare entity. Now that it's been fixed, you're going to see people running into these more often. 0.11% still rare, but at least it's a chance, as opposed to before it was not even a chance with most of them. But also these right here are pretty exciting, because there are, if you've watched Noita for a while, you've probably seen people open greater chests and they get like all this crazy loot. I mean, sometimes it's pretty plain, but sometimes you'll open it and there's like, you know, 20 things that pop out of the greater chest. That's because there are these chances for a re-roll of the entire loot table. And what it means is, if you hit this 1% chance and it re-rolls the entire loot table 3 times, it means it goes back through here and it says, okay, well, let's see what else they can drop. And it could be like, oh, give something for the potions category, and oh, give something for the random spells. And then, oh, it could actually land again on the re-roll. So you could end up in a situation where it just keeps looping around, and you open a chest and it drops like 100 things out of it. Obviously, that would be very crazy RNG, but it's potentially possible. However, with that broken chest spawning method that Latali discovered, that wasn't even possible. So the only time you'd ever see it is on greater chests, because greater chests were spawned in correctly. They didn't have that bugged out method. Their spawning was proper. So now you'll see probably people posting GIFs or videos or whatever when they open a regular chest that has a bit more exciting stuff than you would see in the past. For me, I would say the change I've already noticed immediately is that health pickups are what I'm seeing more often. And maybe like in a level, the first zone, you know, I'd maybe see 2 or 3 chests, and that usually to me just means I get a bit more gold. Most of the time it's almost always gold, maybe a wand. But now I'm seeing from time to time health pickups, and an extra 25 health in the early game is actually a big deal. So that's probably realistically the most the most consistent change that you'll see from that chest thing. But in the rare case, yeah, seeing some people opening some regular chests, getting insane loot is going to be pretty fun. Okay, so where was I? The runestones are more random now. If you've played a lot, you've probably seen that you see the runestone of edges all the time. There was some RNG messed up with that in terms of how it spawns in the runestones on the pedestals. Latali, that's another one he discovered. It should now, you'll now see other runestones. I mean, you'll still see the runestone of edges. Well, you'll get to see some of the other more exciting ones. You could see the other ones before, but I think they had to be like opened out of a chest. They couldn't spawn just on a pedestal naturally, like the runestone of edges can, but all the other ones couldn't. So anyways, that's fixed now. Nothing too crazy. The UI explosion damage is now displayed correctly. That's pretty straightforward. Actually, do I have anything explosive on my... I don't have any explosive stuff right now. Actually, I can just go to the progress bar, I guess. That'd be the easiest way to do it. So you hover over something that's like a bomb, and you see where it says damage explosion 125. Well, before the numbers were much crazier. Now they're much more accurate. But if you're curious, you're like, wait, it still doesn't do 125 damage. Remember that the player only takes like 35% explosion damage or something like that. So you'd still have to calculate off of that to know how much damage you're going to take. Before, though, it would say crazy numbers like damage explosion like 400. I don't know where it got the values before, but they definitely weren't accurate or helpful. So now it's exciting that you can actually at least do some calculation to kind of anticipate how much damage is going to get done to you. Negative damage numbers were off by 1 for the UI, I guess. Inventory now displays melee damage. Uko's empty, all these are pretty straightforward. Uko's empty kill message basically meant sometimes Uko would kill you and it wouldn't tell you what killed you, but usually you knew what killed you, and Uko just blasted you in the face. Polymorphine does not reset player stats. This is another one. I made a video on my YouTube channel called Devs Noita Broke or something like that, and it pretty much showed how you could polymorph and get like many of the hardest to get achievements in the game you can get in one single run because of a glitch with polymorphing, or a bug, whatever you want to call it. It was ridiculous. It was in the game though for like a year, and it's finally removed. In fact, one of the devs actually commented on that video way back when I posted it, Himpuli, aka RV. He posted saying, wow, this is a bug. But you know, they left in the game until now. You know, Petri came along and patched it out, so that's exciting. I'll have to make sure in that video I put patched out so that people know that exploit doesn't work anymore. Frozen Vault now has I don't know, I'm not going to try to pronounce that one. That just means those little freezing mages. This isn't anything crazy. This is an enemy that was supposed to be spawning in there, but it was like bugged out and it didn't spawn. Really not going to see it. Not many people go to Frozen Vault anyways, and even if you do, it's not going to be a big difference. Perks, Breathless perk could leave the O2 meter being displayed forever. That's like just a UI bug. This one I actually was unaware of. Teleportitis didn't grant the damage reduction. I didn't even know that. I thought this whole time that whenever you grab Teleportitis, it did give you the damage reduction. The only time I grab it is when I'm playing Twitch integration or speedrunning. So it's not really that big of a deal either way, but still. Okay, Teleportitis is less garbage, but still it's kind of a gimmicky thing. You only really use it in like speedrunning and stuff. Always Cast now has a bigger pool of possible spells. That's exciting. If you ever grab this perk, you'll probably notice that it gave like a really limited amount of stuff. I feel like I would get Squiggly Path and, you know, crit. I just get a couple. You just see the same stuff all the time. Every once in a while it'd branch out, but now it has a larger pool of stuff. You still is a pretty meh perk, but I guess it's just more exciting, potentially more exciting to see more fun stuff. A bug fix, ceiling stealing is more difficult now. And I actually should have pulled an image up ahead of time because there's a really good image that the chat had made for me. But basically, I think I have a video on this. I have it somewhere in my YouTube videos. But if you could get a spell to reach the ceiling of the shop, which sounds really goofy, I know, because they're really hard to interact with, but a couple things can interact with these. If you could get this spell to lift up without buying it, to get it to touch this ceiling right here, the price tag above it would disappear. It becomes free. You can just grab it after that point. So using like tentacles or circle of buoyancy, there were some pretty neat tricks to do that. However, what they did is they made it where, so here was the cutoff. If the spell went to like around this point, it removed the price tag. Well, now they just lifted it up a little bit higher. It's like right around this area now. So you have to lift the spell up to here which then means you need to be able to lift a spell up to here, means you need to dig a little bit at this. But you need to have some method to destroy the terrain here if you want to lift the spell a little bit like higher up to here to remove that price tag. So, you know, stealing from the shop's not nearly as easy as it was. If you have digging to do it, I guess it's still decent, but most of the time you're just gonna, if you have digging, you're just gonna drop it out of the mountain anyways. You would just dig down below it until it drops out. But then in that case, you will anger the gods, but I think at that point you're probably not afraid of them. Also, there is still the option to carry a spell out of the shop and drop them out here. So if you had Circle of Buoyancy or Tentacles, just move the spells over to here, move the spells to here, and then from there, just move them out of there. And then when they fall out of the mountain, they will become free, and you also will not have angered the gods. So that's probably the smoothest way. Keep in mind, if you're digging away here, it won't anger the gods either, but just so like, here is the spot where you can dig to and steal the spell without angering the gods. If you dig to like here, this point is where the gods start to get pissed. So I guess it's up to you. It's whatever strategy you want to do, but there are options at least. And there is still a big thing to discuss here. I'm almost there. We're almost through it all. The permanent polymorph is permanent. Now, this isn't that isn't the big thing. I mean, I guess maybe to somebody it's a big deal, but what it means is before there's like a mechanic where when you chaotic poly yourself over and over and over, it has to be chaotic poly. It doesn't. The other polys I don't think are affected by it at all. It's specifically meant for chaotic poly so that you can't try to abuse it to do stuff like, let's say that you wanted to chaotic poly into a worm, because the worms, like the ghost worm, can dig like crazy fast and travel really far. You could just sit in a spot and eventually, since you could polymorph as many times as you wanted to, you could just have a pool of it and just do it infinitely. Eventually you would get the creature that you want, and you could do whatever exploit or whatever thing you were originally intending to do. Well, they made it where if you polymorph so many times, chat was saying it was 85. I was like, is it that high? But I didn't want to look into it because it's whatever. It's not really, it doesn't really interest me that much. But if you did it like 85 times, you got stuck as whatever creature you polymorphed into. However, the counter move was that if you got stuck as that creature, and then like you could like jump into polymorphine as that creature and like sometimes wash the stain back off of you and morph back into the character. So they fixed that so that you actually get stuck now apparently. But that's not the thing that interested me there. When they put this bug fix in, there was something else they slipped in as well. And you guys know I have a perk duping video that I posted like in the last month, that it was a big discovery that Twist made. In fact, it was kind of meta changing. And let me show you what happens now. So I'm quickly going to teleport over to the nullifying altar. Let's see. So this is the nullifying altar. And this is where you can dupe your perks and do all kinds of crazy stuff. I have a long run where I fill the screen with shields and I have tons of ghosts and all this craziness. But the key thing you need to do when you're here and you're doing the perk duping is at some point you need to polymorph yourself. And now when you polymorph yourself and you're near the perk altar, Steve comes flying in from downtown and just boom. And if you do it 3 times, let's say you come up with a build to kill him, after the 3rd time, Scout starts to show up. It gets pretty wild. And I think this is pretty interesting change because the devs didn't just simply remove it. Petri got creative with it and made like a counter move, like a guard. And so there are ways around this. In fact, I did a run just the other day, thanks to the community. They're already coming up with strategies on how to counter this guy. Specifically, it's an egg with destruction in it. It actually works very well. So perk duping is not dead, so I'm specifically going to put in that video nerfed because it has not been patched out. However, there's going to be you're going to have to get creative with ways to get rid of, kill Steve while you're polymorphed without being dangerous to yourself. And I'll post a video on that soon. I'm going to wait like a week or so because sometimes whenever you post a video to like a new mechanic like this or something people just discovered, you just give it a day or 2 more and then people discover another thing, right? And so I don't want to post multiple videos back to back to back just with small changes. So I'll give it a week to see what all strategies people come up with, but they already have some really good ones because with this in place, with this method that seems like you would be screwed, like there's no way to survive it, there is a way that isn't too difficult, where you can go on to do your perk duping pretty much like nothing changed. So I plan to see that soon as well. But there we go. There's our bug fixing slash a couple updating patch with secret hidden things sprinkled in there from the devs. I tried to cover just about everything. There are some a couple more things that I could go into detail, but I feel like I've already been ranting. What has it been? Holy crap, it's been like half an hour, and I was trying to not go too long. But just know that there is some other stuff to talk about. I didn't go into detail on everything because some of them actually need a longer video to really show you like how to make the most of it. But I will be also showing. I'm hoping to post a video later today. Another exploit that Twist and Alex in our community, in the Noita community, discovered that may be the biggest bug yet. It's pretty crazy, but I'll try to post it right after this video. I'll record it, and so maybe we'll upload 2 videos today since I've been lazy lately anyways. Thank you for watching this the bug fixing patch video. Thank you. Special shout out to the devs. I mean, obviously they know we love them. We're addicted to Noita, and the fact that we even got this like return patches that they've been doing has been very exciting. So yeah, see you guys again soon. Deuces.